How to pair wine and food for your guest. Today I'm going to give you the basics of pairing wine and food so you can talk professionally, look professionally, and act professionally as a waiter. Coming up. Hey guys, welcome to the Waiters Academy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. A lot of more videos are coming. You can find anything you need to know about being a great waiter here on this channel, on this website. If you're watching the video on the YouTube channel, please subscribe, share it, like it. If you watch it on the website of thewaitersacademy.com, please make sure that you read the whole article because the whole explanation about pairing wine and food is much more detailed, and it's going to help you together with the video to learn and be really good at suggesting wine for your guest. So let's start it. The guests come to the restaurant, you give them the menu, give them the wine list, they take a look and they make their choice for the food. The next thing the guests do is call you and ask you for a suggestion. Excuse me, can you suggest a wine for us? Do not skip a beat. No hesitation whatsoever. Put a smile on your face and say, yes sir, I would love to suggest some wine for you. If you show a little hesitation, that will show the guest that you are not sure what you're talking about, and there is nothing more concerning to the guest about than a waiter who doesn't know what he's talking about and what he's doing about. And he will think that you will suggest some stupid wine or expensive wine. You don't know what you're suggesting. Probably will not go with your suggestion. You will break the connection. So, excuse me, can you suggest some wine for us? Yes, sir. I would love to suggest some wine for you. Now, there are two main ways to pair wine with food. One is congruent and the other one is complementary. Congruent means the wine characteristic, the taste of the wine has similar characteristics to the taste of the food. And complementary means that the taste of the wine is just contrasting the taste of the food, and that's why they complement each other very well. So what you're going to do is you're going to go directly to the guest, and you know exactly what they ordered already, and you can tell them. For example, if they order white wine, you can say, yes sir, white wine pair very well complementary with the food, but of course if you want we can also pair it congruent. Now when you say that, the guest immediately will look at you like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's talking about congruent, he's talking about complementary. Maybe the guest has no idea what that means. Maybe the guest has very good idea what that means. The thing is that you know the words and you are telling the guest with, authority that you can do this, you can do it this way, or you can do it that way. Two ways: congruent, complementary. One, congruent means that the similar characteristics of the wine are matching very well with the similar characteristic of the food, and the complementary means that the wine has completely different taste and characteristic from the food. That's why they complement each other. Let me give you some examples. For example, you have a nice dish with sauce bechamel, which is a little fatty, creamy sauce. You can suggest to the guests that they can pair the wine congruent, and you can find some very nice, fine, smooth, creamy Chardonnay that doesn't have much acidity, doesn't have much sweetness. So the taste of the wine, the characteristic of the taste and the characteristic of the food are pretty much equal and they match very well. Or you can suggest that they pair the wine complementary and you choose, for example, a Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc, usually very fruity, a little sweeter wine, very high on acidity. So that is completely contrasting the smooth and fat and creamy taste of the wine, of the food, and that's why they complement each other very well. The guests can choose if they want to take the Chardonnay or they can choose if they want to take the Sauvignon Blanc. But the thing is that you tell them why the Sauvignon Blanc pairs well with the food and why Chardonnay also pairs well with the food, although they are completely different wines. Now, the next thing, you should know what kind of taste a wine has and what kind of taste the food has. The good thing is that about wine, we're looking for three different tests: bitterness, acidity, and sweetness. Only three major tests that we are really concentrating. Now, you're gonna have to know also about the intensity of the wine, the fruitness of the wine, a couple other things. But right now we are talking about completely, strictly test. So when it's talking about wine, we are looking for three different tests: bitterness, sweetness, acidity. Now, when we're talking about the food, it's a little bit more complicated. Now, if you ask Gordon Ramsay how many different tests you can find in a single dish, he will tell you more than 20. The good thing is we're looking just at six major test characteristics for the food. Again, bitterness, sweetness, acidity, fatness, saltiness, and spiciness. Those are the six main characteristics that you will distinguish, and that's how we're gonna match those six different characteristics of the food with the three of the wine. Very well. Now, we have to assume that you know the wines on your list and you know each wine what kind of characteristics has. And of course, every single dish on your menu, what kind of characteristic tests the dish has. Don't forget that no wine or no meal has just one test. It's always mix of tests. The only thing is you have to find the major. For example, you have a salad with salmon, with grilled salmon and Italian dressing, balsamico dressing. The salad, the green salad, is bitter. The greens are always bitter. The salmon has fatness in it, and the balsamico is acidity. So you have three different tests in the food. Which one will determine the major test? Usually what we choose is that the sauce of the meal, like if you have steak with a creamy mushroom sauce, the sauce, you will pair the wine with the sauce. And the same thing is with the salad. You will pair the wine with the salad sauce. Because the Italian dressing, for example, in this example, it's so intense that overwhelm the fatness of the salmon and the bitterness of the green, and he's not gonna be able to enjoy this meal. Which brings us to the next question: which test of the food match or pair well with which test of the wine? So let's do it. Let's take bitterness from the wine. For example, you have a Cabernet Sauvignon. Bitterness comes from the tannin in the wine. Cabernet Sauvignon is very high on tannin, so have a lot of bitterness in it. And the main characteristic of this wine will be bitterness. Bitterness match well with fatness, saltiness, and sweetness. It can match with acidity, and it can match with spiciness, but not so well. And definitely you never match bitterness with bitterness. That will be too bitter for the guest, not enjoyable. So if you have bitter wine, do not suggest it to a guest that has, a meal that has main characteristic of the test, bitterness. So bitterness match well with fatness, saltiness, and sweetness. Then you can probably pair it with a little bit of acidity and a little bit of spiciness and no bitterness. The same thing is with acidity. Acidity match well with salty food, fatty food, and sweet food. Maybe a little bit of spiciness, maybe a little bit of bitterness. And sweet the sweet taste of the wine can match well with every one of those 6 major tests in the food. This is really basics, but that will help you determine exactly what kind of wine you can offer to your guest. Now let's go back to the conversation. Excuse me, can you offer some wine for us? Can you suggest some wine? Yes, sir. I would love to suggest some wine for you. For example, sir, you have steak today with creamy mushroom sauce that pairs very well with some red wine that is high on tannin, not so much sweetness, but maybe a little bit acidity. Now, you have to remember that there are guests that they will drink only red wine no matter what kind of food they eat, or they will drink only white wine no matter what kind of food they eat. So you go and you tell the guest, first of all, yes sir, I would love to. Your wine, your food pairs very well. We can do it complementary. We can find a wine that match very well complementary with your food, or we can pair a wine congruent. But let me ask you first, are you okay with drinking red and white wine, or would you like to stay particularly with one of those two? And the guests say, no, if you say that my meal match very well with the red wine, I will go with the red wine, then very well. Now, another question, don't forget, there are more people on the table. Now, can you match a wine if you have a party of 6 and everybody's eating different meals, and you can find the perfect wine to match everybody's meal? I don't think so. Not a chance. But if you have like a lady and a gentleman and they're eating 2 different meals and they want to drink a bottle of wine, you can definitely find a wine that matches well with both of their meals. The point is, guys, to show the guests that you care about their experience and you're trying your best to find the best wine to pair with their food. And you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. So when the guests say, hey, can you suggest wine? Yes, sir, I would love to suggest wine. We can go both ways, congruent or complementary. And for example, sir, you're having a steak with a creamy mushroom sauce, and the lady is having a salmon today. So that's perfect for both of you to have a wine that have little bitterness, little acidity, maybe little fruitness. For you, sir, Cabernet Sauvignon would have been great, but the Cabernet Sauvignon is a little bit too bitter, maybe not going to be very well or overwhelming for the salmon of the lady. And that's why, for example, me personally, I would suggest, guys, have a nice, fruity, lighter body Pinot Noir. The Pinot Noir doesn't have so much bitterness, have a little bit of acidity, and it's going to match perfectly with the fish and with your steak. That's it. That shows the guests that you are a real professional, you have learned your stuff, you know what you're doing, and you are caring about them. What do you think those guests will do once you tell them all those things? They will love you. They will really love you. And when you bring the wine and you have amazing evening together, they enjoy the meal, they will tip you good, they will remember your name, they will come back and look for you, and that's all we care about. Really. Happy guest makes everybody happy. You will be happy because you will be making money and you feel good about yourself. The manager will be happy because those guests will be returning guests. They will just keep coming, and keep coming because they have a great experience in this restaurant. The owner, of course, will be happy because he's going to make money from the restaurant, and the guests will be happy. That's the most important thing. They will be happy because know that they have a waiter there that cares about their experience, and that's why they will come back in this restaurant and they will be looking for you. So guys, let me give you some basic pairing techniques so you know how to pair, what to pair, and when to pair it. Let's go. Red wine pairs better with red meat. Of course, everybody knows that, yeah? White wine pairs better with white meat or fish. Now, when you're pairing wine with the food, make sure that intensity of the wine is equal of the intensity of the meal. You don't want to be more intense or less intense. They have to match very well. Next thing, the wine should have more acidity from the food. Then it pairs better. Now, not always that will be the case, but if you can do that, that will be better. The wine should have more sweetness than the food. Fat food pairs best with wines heavy on tannin. So, like I said, you have a creamy mushroom steak. That's perfect for Cabernet Sauvignon, heavy tannin wine. All right? But, like I said, it's not just one guy on the table. There are a lot of other people, one lady, and she's eating something light. If you order Cabernet Sauvignon and it's so heavy on tannin and she's eating something lighter, the wine intensity will overwhelm the food, and then the gentleman will enjoy it perfectly, but the lady will have a terrible time. And that's why you will explain that for them. You know, sir, we can pair your food perfectly with nice Cabernet, heavy, full-body Barrique wine, but that will not be very well for the lady. That's why I would suggest something not so heavy on tannin, something with a little bit more acidity that match perfectly with the food of the lady, with the fish, and that's how you both will be able to enjoy the wine and the food. See, I care about you. That's what you're telling them. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Like I said, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. More videos are coming. We have already countless video tutorials on the channel about being the best waiter possible in the world. Make sure that you watch them, improve your skills, improve your knowledge, and be the best waiter you could possibly be, because that's what's going to change your life. All right, guys, thank you very much. Enjoy your day, stay out of trouble, stay safe, most importantly, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Ciao.